Ladies and gentlemen, stop scrolling, drop the remote, and lean in close because the clock is ticking louder than a doomsday timer. If you own gold or silver, you have just weeks to prepare for this seismic shift that's barreling down like a freight train with no brakes. We're talking the kind of market reckoning that Rick Rule, the grizzled veteran who's navigated more bull runs than most of us have hot dinners, is screaming from the rooftops about a dollar on the ropes, inflation gnawing at your savings like termites in a wooden house, and precious metals not just shining but exploding into a supercycle that could quadruple your stack before breakfast. Imagine this. You're clutching your coins or bars, feeling smug in this $2,700 gold era, when bam, Fed rate cuts, 99% odds for October, crack the dollar's facade, central banks hoover up 1,000 plus tons annually, and silver's industrial hunger from solar panels to EVs devours supply, pushing spot prices from $31.50 to $50, $75, or even $100 by mid-2026 in the firestorm Rick's forecasting. In his bombshell YouTube deep dive dropped September 8th, 2025, Rick doesn't mince words. The dollar will lose 75% of its purchasing power, echoing the 1970s nightmare where gold quadrupled and silver detonated 15 times. And now, with 37 trillion US debt and unfunded liabilities stacking like Jenga blocks, he's urging owners to fortify, diversify into miners, juniors, and uranium plays. Because this isn't a dip. It's the prelude to a decade-long wealth transfer from fiat fools to metal mavens. On X, Rick's at Real Rick Rule is firing off salvos like, the gold supercycle has already started. Most investors have no clue. Racking up 216 likes and 41 reposts as of September 18th, while his silver fireworks clip warns of short squeezes regardless, pulling 1,193 engagements on September 23rd. But here's the hook that'll glue you to your seat. Rick's not peddling hype. He's your battle-hardened uncle spilling the playbook from 50 years in the trenches, saying prepare now by stacking quality juniors, hedging with physical, and eyeing uranium's structural improvements because in weeks, as the Fed pivots, volatility will spike, weak hands fold, and the prepared will feast on a bull market mirroring the 70s but turbocharged for the 20s. I've been riding these waves since the 2011 peak. Watch silver crater to $14 only to claw back 57% YTD. And let me tell you, Rick's call isn't optional. It's your wake-up alarm. Stick with me through this whirlwind overview, blending the raw intel from his symposium rants, X-Thunder, and market math, with my no-filter takes on why gold hits $3,500, silver $50 by end of year, and how you lock in gains before the herd stampedes. This is your weeks to prepare playbook. Let's arm up because the inevitable's here, and it's glittering. Good evening, folks. Or good grief if you're in Pakistan watching the rupee slide 12% against a weakening dollar, where gold's not just jewelry, but a family fortress against 20% inflation bites. Thank you for crashing this urgent huddle where we shred the headlines and stitch together survival strategies. I'm your frontline correspondent in this precious metals melee, channeling Rick Rule's gravel-voiced wisdom straight to your screen, and today, we're dissecting his clarion call. If you own gold or silver, you've got mere weeks to brace for a dollar demolition derby that turns your holdings into high-octane wealth engines. As of September 28th, 2025, gold's lounging at $2,650 per ounce, up 43% YTD, but Rick's Rule Symposium in July hammered home the real story. Nominal highs are child's play. Adjust for purchasing power, and we're still miles from 1980's $850 equivalent, $3,300 today. With the greenback's long-term bleed down 96% since 1913, accelerating under $37 trillion debt and negative real yields. Silver? At $31.50, it's the real firecracker. Industrial demand from 200 million ounces in solar alone, up 20% year over year, versus 800 million ounces mining output, forging 150 million ounces deficit. That's Rick's superb opportunity. As he told in May 2025, predicting silver outshines gold in this 70s redux supercycle. X is electric with Rick's echoes. His September 25th post on Rick Rule's bold call, gold, silver, and uranium still in early innings, snags 304 likes, linking a YouTube where he roars the bull market's just warming up, while September 23rd's long haul gold, quote from Bill Bonner, explodes to 1,193 likes, underscoring preservation over speculation. My gut? Rick's weeks timer ties to October's Fed cut, igniting volatility. Central banks buying 1,000 tons gold yearly. Eastern demand, China, India, sucking up supply. And Trump's trade wars juicing inflation to 2.5% core, per Sprott's 2025 forecast with Rick. Prepare means audit your stack. Physical for ballast, miners for leverage, high quality like Agnico Eagle per resource talks. Juniors for 10x pops if you stomach the risk. Rick's blunt in his Wealthy On interview. Debt binge for 4 decades demands self-reliance. Question guarantees, build resilience, pivot to inflation hedges now before the reckoning hits. If you're holding paper promises, wake up. This is the pivot point. Let's flash back to Blueprint the Battle Plan. Rewind with me to Rick's war stories because his 50-year saga is the map to this madness. Born in the 70s oil shocks, Rick cut teeth in Vancouver's junior mines, spotting patterns like the Hunt brothers' 1980 silver corner that rocketed to $50 before regulators crushed it to $4. Lessons in manipulation he drills today. Shorts on COMEX are sweating as deficits compound. 2011's QE-fueled frenzy tripled gold to $1,900, silver to $49, only for taper tantrums to gut it 70%. Rick bought the blood, advising discipline over greed in failed explorers, per his 2024 Resource Talks outlook, extended into 2025. COVID? Supply snarls met green booms. Solar/EV slurping silver. Central banks, Russia, Turkey, stacking gold amid sanctions, birthing the supercycle Rick declared already started in his September 18th dissected post, viewed 25,000 times. At July's Rule Symposium, Rick and Grant Williams tag-teamed World on a Debt Binge, urging portfolio diversity into real assets as geopolitics, Ukraine, tariffs, and U.S. liabilities 100 trillion plus unfunded erode trust. Rick's X-Fire on September 22nd. Investors should prepare for a decade of reckoning. 122 likes strong ties to his YouTube, where he flips nominal highs. Tweet asks you to $700 gold, floating abstraction, real values in purchasing power preservation. My take. Rick's weeks echoes the Fed's pivot window. Post-cut, dollar dips 10%, metals spike 20 to 30% short-term, but the decade-long grind favors the prepared. He's loud on juniors. Sell overvalued, cut losses, but early is better than late. As his September 22nd reply quips, stack now before retail FOMO bids premiums sky high. History screams 70s silver 15x on inflation. Now, with convexity, small supply tweaks equals big jumps. It's primed. Prepare by allocating 10 to 20% to metals, per Rick's resilience blueprint. Diving into the gears grinding this beast? Charts scream breakout. Gold's multi-year pennant targets $3,000 at gold-silver ratio 80, down from 85. RSI 62 bullish. MICD Golden Cross as Fed cuts weaken USD to 105. Silver? $31.50 tests 32 resistance. Volume up 15% on industrial buys. Shorts at COMEX records. Rick's fireworks regardless of squeeze. Per his September 23x/YouTube, 104 likes buzzing. Demand math. Gold 4,800 tons mined versus 5,000 plus bought by CBS. Silver 1.2 billion ounces demand, 50% industrial, versus 1.05 billion supply, deficit widening per Sprott. CIO Maria Smirnova with Rick. Macro? Trump's tariffs juice inflation, negative yields, tips minus 0.5%. Push havens. Rick in J-Post. Bullish gold, copper, cautious oil, achas gas. X amplifies. Rick's September 25th uranium gold clip, 304 likes, ties to early innings. My opinion, weeks mean pre-October volatility. Buy dips to $2,600 gold slash $30 silver, leverage with miners, up 2 to 3 times metal moves. Rick's warning, laziness and greed kill juniors. Vet leadership, persistence. Inevitable squeeze, physical premiums spike 20%, per symposium chatter. Prepare, secure storage, diversify juniors, 10% portfolio, eye uranium's overlooked financeables. Now the raw human pulse, because Rick's rants hit home when you see the faces. Picture the Lahore artisan melting silver for bangles, costs up 30% but orders booming from EV exports, hedging rupee woes as Rick urges self-reliant in his symposium fireside. Or the New York retiree, gold bars in the safe, sweating $37 trillion debt erasing pensions. Rick's YouTube plea. Build personal resilience, echoed in his September 19th X on Supercycle Cluelessness, 147 likes strong. X stories flood. Followers DMing Rick post-July symposium. Exiting juniors per your advice, saved my bacon, while his long-haul gold post inspires 1,193 to quote family heirlooms as inflation shields. I've mirrored it, stacked through 2020 crash, felt the gut punch of 14 silver, but Rick's persistence pays mantra turned it. Doubled down on quality, rode 57% rebound. Lesson? Weeks to prepare means audit emotions. Fear sells low, greed buys high. Rick and Wealthian. Trauma over long weekends? Forget it. Speculate smart. For emerging markets like Pakistan/India, 50% global silver demand, its lifeline, jewelry booms, solar grids, power villages. Opinion, Rick humanizes the math. Metals aren't gambles, they're family armor and debt binges. Forecasts? Rick's crystal ball gleams. Gold $3,500 EOY, mirroring dollars 75% power loss. Silver $50 short term, $75 to $100 26 on industrial convexity, per his INN/metal sand miners chats. Sprott 2025, gold $3,000 base on CB buys/Eastern hoarding, silver $40 plus on EV/solar surge. Rick's X. September 23rd, fireworks in silver, 104 likes, eyes decade of outperformance. Bull case, $4,000 gold per $125 silver if ratio hits 2011 lows. My call, $3,200 gold/$45 silver by December. Prepare by laddering buys 5 to 10% monthly. Skeptical? Rick's early innings post September 25th, 304 likes, says most miss it. Breather, but the drumbeat quickens. Rick's rule, gold preserves, silver explodes. Diversified juniors to uranium. Global, Pakistan's $30 billion gold imports buffer inflation. X's Rick September 2nd Sprott market quip, 508 likes, nods spot physical shift. Risks, junior volatility, manipulation. Rick, cut losses fast. Future, Trump 2.0 nuclear push juices uranium/gold. Q&A sim, weeks mean what? Fed pivot volatility, stack now, your edge? Rick's wisdom, early beats late. Seamless swell to 15K. History, 1.5K. Hunts, 70s to COVID. Tech, 2K. Charts, RSI deficits. Global, 2K. Pakistan, India, China demand. Forecasts, 1.5K. $3,500, $50. Stories, 1.5K. Artisans, retirees. Risks, 1K. Volatility, manips. Outlooks, 2K. Supercycle decade. Q&A, 2K. Exit when? Flow, prepare or perish, Rick's call.